Wife made my life a living hell and threatened me with custody of kids whenever I talked about divorce, so I laid out a 6-month plan to finally get rid of her, and oh boy, it's blowing up in her face because I, 45 male, have to get this off my chest. All the names used here are fake for privacy reasons. For the last few years, I have been in hell and finally found the courage to break free from the clutches of Satan himself. I have very few friends right now, all because of my own stupidity and maybe because of my wife. Well, I should say my soon-to-be ex-wife. My dear wife, Hannah, 35, female, doesn't know that I am about to destroy her life very soon. I don't feel even an ounce of remorse for what I did or what I'm about to do. For the past 3 years, I have lived in constant anxiety and was slowly falling into a deep depression. I lost 70 pounds and am almost a stick. Don't worry, because I am slowly gaining those pounds back since I have become practically underweight. I've also signed up for therapy and will be bearing my soul to some stranger in a few weeks. All of this nonsense just because of my devil wife. Now, before I try to unload my trauma on some poor therapist, I thought I should practice bearing my soul here. After all, you guys are strangers to me as well. I have never used Reddit before, so this is very new for me. It's also good that no one knows I have a Reddit account. I don't want to be gossiped about right now. I think this is where I should also mention that I am using fake names. I have 2 young daughters and don't want them to get recognized through this post. I have enough drama to deal with anyway. Again, all thanks to my wife. You can judge me all you want for talking crap about my wife, but I can't help it. I'm going to tell you all about her, and everything I say about her is true. My wife and I met in college and started to date 1 year later. She had already dropped out of college, but I managed to finish my studies. We had a solid relationship and I thought that I was the luckiest man in the world. My wife is super beautiful on the inside. What's inside is completely another story, and I will get to it in a few minutes. So, yes, I was mindlessly in love with Hannah and thought that I was winning in life in all aspects. I have always been a good student and performed well academically. I got into an Ivy League college and graduated with an extremely high GPA, landed a high-paying job straight after college, and waited 2 more years before proposing to the love of my life. I would have proposed to Hannah sooner if she hadn't demanded that I buy a house and build a good wedding fund before even thinking about proposing to her. I was such a fool in love that I constantly missed all these red flags. I was just happy to make my then-girlfriend's dreams come true. Some of my wiser friends had tried to warn me that Hannah wasn't a very good person, but I was too blinded by love. I was her first serious boyfriend and she had stayed with me for over 4 years at that point. So I thought that what we had was super special. Since Hannah dropped out of college and didn't have a very good job, I considered it my duty to assure her financial security before I married her. I think the only mature thing I did in my life was to get a prenup. It wasn't my plan though. It was mostly because of my parents, who were suspicious of Hannah being a gold digger. I used to be incredibly suspicious of Hannah being a gold digger. I used to be incredibly close to them and it broke my heart to know that they thought so little of Hannah. I initially didn't want Hannah to sign a prenup, but my parents threatened to boycott the wedding. I tried my best to make them change their minds, but later decided that it would be best to postpone the wedding. That's when Hannah stepped in and said that she was willing to sign a prenup to put my parents at ease. I stupidly became happy because I thought it proved her loyalty and love for me. Prenups were signed and the wedding happened. 2 months after the wedding, Hannah became pregnant with my daughter Kylie, 10 female. We were careful because I didn't want kids so soon, but Hannah got pregnant anyway. I'm pretty sure she sabotaged me and baby-trapped me. Honestly, I don't care about that one because I would never regret having Kylie. She is the absolute light of my life along with my son, Ian, 6 male. When my daughter was born, I was over the moon and so happy to be a father. Again, I thought I was winning at life. Then everything just went to hell. I will say it right now that Hannah became a nightmare. She refused to take care of Kylie and most of the childcare was left on me. She just lay in bed and watched TV all day. It was like she had no interest in being a mother. I was worried and took her to get tested for PPD. Well, she didn't have it. So why was she refusing to take care of Kylie? Because she simply didn't want to. Mind you, this was her one job. We already had a maid and a cook since she got pregnant. She always complained of morning sickness and being tired all the time. Like a dumb fool, I gave in to all her demands to make her happy. Hannah took full advantage of that. I had fully expected her to go back to taking care of the house and our child after Kylie was born. I mean, she was a stay-at-home wife for God's sake, but she refused to take any responsibility and wanted everything served on a silver platter. Then slowly, she started to amp up her demands. After our daughter was born, it was like a switch flipped in my wife's head. She became extremely rude to me and didn't show me even an ounce of affection. Whenever I got near her, she would get mad or simply say that she was tired and didn't want to be touched. I reported it all. I just asked her to hug me sometimes and maybe kiss me goodbye when I left for work. Nope, she wasn't willing to do that. We fought constantly. Every day she had something new to complain about. She hated it when I hung out with friends and even family members, so I had to let them go. She hated my family because they didn't like her, so I wasn't allowed to see them or even talk to them. My parents still haven't met my kids. It's completely on me that I didn't go against my wife. Hannah and I had several fights about this, but I ended up backing off every time. She used to get extremely angry and then threatened to hurt herself if I argued with her for too long. I loved my wife and didn't want to see her hurt, so I dropped the arguments every time. I knew that threats of self-harm weren't normal. I had begged my wife to seek help, but when she would calm down, she would act like she never made those threats. She gaslighted me so hard that I had to question myself if I was imagining things. That's how bad things had been. Sadly, this wasn't the only way my wife had been abusive towards me. After our daughter was born, my wife stopped being affectionate with me. We still got intimate, but she wouldn't show me affection out of bed. I was exhausted from being a breadwinner and slaving myself only to return home to a cold wife. I didn't like being treated like this and felt neglected. Any type of discussion on the matter was taken to the extreme where my wife would accuse me of wanting to force her to show affection. I tried talking to her a few times, but gave up pretty soon. Who knew that this would be the beginning of our end? I had been planning to get away from Hannah. No. I wasn't a complete doormat. I could tell that I wasn't happy in the marriage anymore. I barely got anything out of the marriage and it seemed that my wife didn't love me anymore. When I finally talked to my wife about separating and possibly divorcing, she panicked hard. She begged and cried for forgiveness and promised that she would change herself. Honestly, I didn't exactly believe her. I have even gone to stay at a hotel for a few days. Then out of the blue, Hannah told me that she was pregnant. Yes, I wanted another child, but definitely not like this. I was happy, but I was also confused about what to do. I remained at a hotel for a week after ultimately deciding to come back home. Hannah had been trying hard to win back my affection, so I wanted to give her one chance. After all, this was the first time she ever admitted her wrongs. The second pregnancy was pretty smooth for the two of us. Hannah was a completely changed woman, and I was super happy to see that she was rectifying her mistakes. She showed me affection, told me she loved me, and rarely fought with me. She even allowed me to gradually talk to my parents little by little. I was trying to re-establish a connection with them before they could meet my children. Everything was going well until Ian was born. As soon as Hannah was back from the hospital, she changed into an evil woman again. The cycle repeated itself, but at this point, I was completely trapped. I knew that there was no way Hannah would change again, so I was determined to get a divorce. My only concern was my kids. I stayed for more years till Ian was a little older. During this time, I was desperately hoping that Hannah would change, but she just got worse. She used to regularly destroy my electronics and throw away my stuff as some sort of power play. My relationship with my parents suffered because she didn't want me to talk to them. I tried to stand my ground. I told her that I would leave her, but this time, Hannah knew how to counter that. She simply threatened to tell everyone that I was physically abusive towards her and the kids. She reminded me that the court would listen to her and take her side. The kids won't be able to do anything. I would get them taken away from me by CPS and probably wouldn't see them for a long time. These threats absolutely broke me. It was then that I realized I was completely stuck in the marriage. I tried to soldier on for the sake of my kids. I didn't want to lose them. I was so mentally drained and emotionally manipulated by Hannah that I started believing her words. I was a mess, and it showed. My co-workers were concerned about me, but Hannah didn't give a crap about me. In fact, I later found out that she had been cheating on me with multiple men. Yeah. I stayed on even then. I only decided to leave for good when she hit me during an argument about her cheating. That's when I got scared. Not for me, but for my kids. After Hannah hit me, it was like a fog had cleared in my head. I felt a rush of something and put it to good use. I began planning my moves so that I could get out of the marriage without losing my kids. I made a plan. For 6 months, I collected evidence of my wife's abuse. I used to start arguments about her cheating to make sure she lost control and hit me. Judge me all you want, but I did what I needed to do. I was determined to walk out of the marriage without any negative consequences. I got a second phone and reached out to my parents. I regularly sent them my recorded videos so that they could keep them safe for me. Hannah didn't know a thing about what I did. She was so drunk on power that she thought I wouldn't be able to leave her. She openly flaunted her affair and mocked me for not being able to stop her. I have it all on record. She is off to a mini vacation with her boy toy right now. I know all about it because she told me about it herself. She also said that I couldn't stop her. Well, I didn't stop her. I let her leave so that I could set the final steps of my plan. I'm at my house now, but it feels very different. I have changed the locks and packed Hannah's things in trash bags. They will be out on the front porch on the day she will come back from her trip. The kids are with me. I already contacted CPS, went to the cops with the recordings, and filed for divorce. It's all done now. Hannah still doesn't know. She will be coming back from her romantic getaway tomorrow. She will come back to her stuff on the front porch. Her key won't work and cops would be called on her if she tries to do something stupid. I have everything prepared and all I have to do is wait. I won't lie, I'm super nervous. That's another reason why I decided to vent here. I will admit that it was a pretty cathartic experience. Now, I feel ready to face whatever is waiting for me on the day my wife arrives. Edit. Some of you have been calling me a major doormat for not leaving sooner and giving in to all of my wife's wishes. Well, I won't dispute your claims. I was a doormat. People who truly love their partners can sometimes be blind to their flaws. I may be academically gifted, but it seems like I have poor skills in recognizing toxicity. You can be assured that I have learned my lesson now. Actually, I had learned my lesson a long time ago. I just couldn't leave because of my kids. Hannah is a super messed up woman and I knew she would fabricate stories to get me away from my kids. She wouldn't have let me divorce anyway because of the prenup. I already realize now that she doesn't want to give me up because no one will tolerate her nonsense and fund her ridiculous life like I did. She truly had a gala time being married to me. Maybe she would have left me if she had found someone wealthier than me, but I guess she quickly realized that not everyone tolerates her nonsense. Sometimes I really wish she would have left. I would have gotten rid of her sooner, but maybe it's better this way because the slow poison over the years had already killed all of my love for her. I'm only concerned about my kids now. I don't want to teach them that it's okay to be in a toxic and abusive relationship. I am not going to sit around and wait for the day Hannah loses her mind and hits my children. Yes, I have been a doormat before, but I won't be one anymore. I'm done. I will leave and I will make Hannah pay for what she did. I can promise you that. Update 1. I came to Reddit just to vent and clear my head before facing the storm that was brewing in my life. I just needed to get some thoughts out of my system before I handed myself over to a therapist. I never imagined that my impulsive post would blow up like this and people would send me DMs just to hear what happened next. This was supposed to be a one-time post, but some of your supportive words have really helped me in the last few days. Also, for those who keep calling me a doormat and pushover, I don't know what to say. I'm trying to stand up for myself, but you were just too obsessed with my past. I guess there is no winning with you guys. Anyway, since you guys have been dying for an update, let me tell you exactly what happened after my last post. I had a great time reading some of your comments because you guys have been really kind. Your own experiences with your crazy spouses helped me a lot and gave me hope that I can also be happy in the future. I spent 2 days reading your comments, even though I couldn't reply to all of you. Then 2 days later, it was time for D-Day. Hannah came back from her vacation to find herself locked out of the house. She kept ringing the doorbell, expecting me to rush to get to her and provide her with an explanation. I didn't even open the door to tell her off. I got on the Ring doorbell camera and told her that I had changed the locks and she wouldn't be allowed inside the house again. I saw Hannah slowly getting angry. She started to scream at me to open the door and not mess with her. She kept telling me that I couldn't lock her out of her own house. I reminded her that the house belonged to me and informed her that her stuff was already on the front porch. The look of shock and surprise on her face as she realized that the trash bags on the porch weren't garbage, but her clothes was just hilarious. I actually had a hard time holding my laughter at her expression. But then Hannah completely flew off the handle. "Oh, boy!" She screamed and raged so hard that the neighbors literally got out of their houses to see what was going on. Mind you, we have a pretty big lawn, so it's not like all the houses are close to each other. I saw some neighbors peek out of their doors. Hannah paid no attention to that. She began openly threatening me and reminding me that she would call the cops and get my kids taken away. And that's when I informed her that I had already filed for divorce and reported her for assaulting me. "Oh, boy!" She got even angrier when I said those words. She started to act like a deranged woman and kept banging and kicking on the door. I'm not sure why she thought it would work because I spent good money on getting a high-quality door that couldn't be broken down easily. Hannah hurt herself with her antics. Well, it didn't stop her probably because she was already out of her mind by then. She kept circling the house and tried to break the windows in. I knew this was a possibility, so I had the kids locked in their rooms. When I saw her trying to throw a flower pot through the window, I got on the phone to call the police. Turns out, I didn't have to do that. The neighbors had already called the cops long back because they were concerned about my safety. So the cops arrived right when Hannah sent a flower pot crashing through the living room window. I don't think I have to tell you what happened next. The cops swiftly put Hannah in handcuffs as she struggled to get free. She kept telling them that I was an abusive man and had been holding her kids hostage. The cops already had arrest warrants for her because of my report. They wasted no time in telling her that she was the one getting arrested because she had charges of domestic violence against me. The news didn't make her quiet or cooperative. In fact, she kept struggling and calling me names till the officers put her in the police car and drove away. Hannah then called her parents to bail her out, but they refused to do it. Why? because I had already talked to them and presented them with proof of her abuse. I did it that morning because I didn't want them to warn Hannah and ruin my plans. I had fully expected them to take her side and defend her, but they were actually disgusted by her behavior. They assured me that they didn't raise Hannah to be such an evil woman, and I sort of believed them. They are decent people with a humble life. My theory is that Hannah's friends encouraged her abusive ways and gave her ideas to lock me down. I know them, so I can tell that they are no better. Anyway, Hannah had a hard time getting bail because her friends swiftly got the hell away from her after her arrest. I don't know how she got out, but she did. I'm unsure where she's staying right now, but it's probably with one of her affair partners. Yes, there were multiple people. No, I don't care about her or them. I stopped caring a long time ago. I'm focusing on getting her served and presented before the court. There are also my kids who I need to worry about. Thankfully, my parents have been of great help and my neighbors have been dropping by to take care of my kids when I'm getting too overwhelmed. That's all that's happened so far. I'm not delusional enough to think that it will be smooth sailing from now on. So if you are interested, I will make another update later. Update 2. Hi, guys. I'm back with another update since I have been getting a lot of DMs from people. It has truly shocked me and warmed my heart to know that so many strangers care about what's going on in my life. Maybe some of you are just here for the drama, but oh well, it's keeping me going and I have some good laughs at some of your comments. To the people who constantly keep telling me that I should have left my crazy wife sooner, well, what's the point of saying that now? I don't have a time machine to go back in the past and undo my ridiculous mistakes. If anyone in this sub is reading my post and is in a similar situation, I can just say that you better start running right now. Things will never improve and you will just end up spending your good years on some crazy man or woman who doesn't value you. Just run away. Find someone who actually cares about you. To the ones who tried to bait me into making horrible comments against women, go to hell. I'm not insane enough to think that every woman is like my wife. That's not how it works. I have a little girl, so I know better than to indulge in your rude remarks that generalize all women. Speaking of my kids, a lot of you have been asking how they are coping with everything. To my surprise and shame, they have been coping well. Turns out they didn't even form a connection with their mother all through these years. If anything, they were wary of her because they saw how she treated me. My daughter Kylie literally bawled her eyes out one day and told me not to bring mommy back. That one made me super ashamed of myself. I tried to stick it out for the kids, but never realized how much my kids were being affected by Hannah's outbursts. Since Hannah didn't pay much attention to them, Kylie and Ian had no problem living without her. They still have their regular babysitter who looks after them and who cooks and feeds them. Hannah never did much for them anyway. I've been so stupid to think that they would be sad without their mother. Although, I am still pretty sure I would have lost my kids if Hannah had tried to accuse me of domestic violence. They're still young, so I doubt they would have been taken seriously. Anyway, a lot of you suggested that I put my kids into therapy to help them deal with the divorce and the fallout. I did just that. We are working with a therapist, and so far, there has been good progress. I also informed their schools that my wife is not authorized to pick them up anymore. Right now, she doesn't even have visitation. It doesn't look like she wants to see the kids anyway. I feel sad about that, but it is probably for the best. Right now, the update is that I have temporary full custody of the kids. My lawyer is pretty sure that I would be given custody permanently. Hannah has gotten a lawyer and my lawyer informed me that she wants full custody and child support. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. There is no way I will let her use me as a bargaining chip. The kids will stay with me. I don't want any child support or whatever from me. I am perfectly capable of raising them on my own income. Anyway, I have a feeling that Hannah will say some dumb crap in court and try to extort money from me. I'm sure she will be laughed out of court, but I am too wary to say for sure. Maybe I'll come back with an update once the divorce is settled. Update 3. I did it, guys. I have successfully untangled myself from my crazy ex-wife. It feels so good to call Hannah my ex-wife. I say good riddance to being married to that harpy. It's been close to 6 months since I last posted an update. I am so sorry for the big time gap. I'm sure you will understand. Divorce takes time, especially when kids are involved. Yes, I have solid grounds for divorce, but Hannah was also being uncooperative. I won't go into a lot of details because I don't want to make this update long. Hannah definitely has some mental issues going on because she started to stalk me after getting out of jail. That's why I had to apply for a restraining order against her. Since she has a domestic violence charge, I was granted the restraining order almost immediately. She didn't try anything after that. In court, she tried to fight tooth for nail to get some money from the divorce, but the prenup pretty much stopped all of her attempts. There was a pretty sick infidelity clause in it. Thank God for that. When it became clear to Hannah that she wasn't getting almost anything in the divorce, she tried to go after the kids. She was somehow convinced that she would get full custody and child support because she was the mother. Well, The judge didn't like that at all and gave her a verbal lashing about how she needed to take things seriously. She was delusional to think that CPS would allow her around kids after knowing our history of domestic violence. Anyway, I paid good money for a lawyer and was able to get full custody of the kids. Then, Hannah did something unexpected. Just before our divorce was finalized, Hannah decided to settle out of court. She asked me for a chunk of money and in exchange, she offered to give up her rights to the kids. We negotiated a little and I ended up giving her a small part of my savings. Hannah knew that she wasn't in the place to haggle too much. Some of you guys may be disappointed that I gave her money, but I did it for the kids. I realized long back that Hannah had no interest in her children, and my kids didn't like her anyway. So it would have been better for them not to have her around. Yes. They will grow up without a mother, but I will do my best to make sure I'm enough for them. So I closed that chapter of my life and was able to cut Hannah off completely. I call it a win because I got out of a toxic marriage and cut off a toxic woman out of my kids' lives. I am now going to concentrate on my children and make sure they are happy with their new life. Maybe I will get back to dating, but it's not in my books anytime soon. Thanks for sticking with me through the last few months. I hope I won't come back with another story anytime soon.